Today, we're going to be talking about 5 steps to get a D1 offer as a wide receiver. Now, there are a ton of factors that go into a wide receiver getting recruited, and that is what we are going to be discussing today. Now, there are some things like your height, there are some things like your weight that you need to worry about, and we're going to discuss that as we get into this video, of course. But the first thing I want to talk about is the highlight tape. So, when it comes down to your huddle highlight tape, that is what gets you recruited as a wide receiver. Now, what are coaches looking for, right? So, as a wide receiver, let's say you're at the high school level, right? I'm assuming every single high school team, especially in the U.S., I know in other states, because we get these questions a lot, maybe I don't have Huddle. It's whatever film service you use, but Huddle is the best because that's what college coaches use. Huddle, H-U-D-L, right? Huddle.com. If you don't have it, I highly recommend pitching it to your coach or maybe getting an account for yourself. That's a little pricey. Teams get a better deal. Now, with your Huddle highlight tape, that's, like I said, what gets you recruited. What do you need to put on the highlight tape? What's going to stand out to a college coach? Now, first things first is you need to be an explosive playmaker. Now, by explosive playmaker, some of you might be thinking, well, coach, I'm in a run-heavy offense. I don't get a lot of targets. How can I showcase myself if I'm not getting the opportunities that I see these other receivers getting? Guys, at the end of the day, college coaches want to see athletes. They want to see the best players out there on the field that can make plays and see how can we make them fit into our offense, defense, or wherever we have you guys played. So you need to make plays on all 3 phases of the game. You should be playing offense. You should be playing defense. You should be playing special teams. Any opportunities you can to make explosive plays. Guys, a kick return, that's an explosive play. An interception, explosive play. A receiver catching a ball, getting 10 yards after the catch, breaking a tackle, making somebody miss. Those are the explosive plays that I'm looking for. Now, when it comes to D1 level wide receivers, guys, the D1 level guys, when you watch their film, I'm talking the 5-star, the 4-star guys, every single play in that first 1 to 2 minutes, because that's really all you need, guys. A college coach is not going to watch more than a minute of your tape. He doesn't have that kind of time, and he's going to know he doesn't need to watch a 10-minute tape if you're that caliber of a player. So within that first minute, guys, you need to showcase you're an explosive playmaker. All those 4-star, 5-star guys have plays where they catch a slant, they turn up and go score, maybe 60, 70 yards. They catch a ball, they break a tackle, they turn up and score. They have plays like that, and those are the plays that you want to try to incorporate into your film. Now, second thing that you want to include is clips of you making big catches. So diving catches, jump balls, catches while you're getting hit. That showcases that you have, I guess you could say the skills or the ball skills to play at that next level. And then last but not least, something you could do to help out your cause, especially if you're in a run-heavy team, make sure you have plays of you blocking. No block, no rock. And if you guys can be an asset in the run game, that makes you an asset above any other recruit that you might be competing with. Now, before we get into the height and weight needed to be able to play at the Division I level, guys, if you're a wide receiver and you would like to train with us this offseason, we're going to be traveling out to 10 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're a receiver and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches. Guys, we're coming out to Dallas, Texas. Then we're going to be heading out to Chicago, Illinois, Nashville, Tennessee, Buffalo, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Michigan, Boise, Idaho, and Los Angeles, California. So guys, you want some more information, want to learn how you can sign up, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have all of you out there. 2 whole days of training, 8 hours total of work. So again, guys, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. Now, second tip to be able to get a Division I scholarship offer is to not worry about your height, right? Everybody likes to talk about the eye test. Everybody likes to talk about, oh, am I tall enough to play at the D1 level, D2, D3? Coach, do you think I'm tall enough? I see all your questions, guys, and we appreciate all the questions. Just the thing about your height is that it's all genetics. It's not something that you can control. Maybe you could speed up the growth process by sleeping more. A lot of people will say, oh, drink milk. It'll speed this up. I don't know if that's necessarily true. The only thing I could recommend to you is maybe getting more sleep because you grow in your sleep. But other than that, you cannot control your height. You're either going to be tall or you're going to be short. You kind of got to work with the hand that you're dealt with, right? So let's say you're on the shorter side of things. I would say the average height for a wide receiver at the Division I level, and again, this is probably any college level, I would say is anywhere from like that 5'10" to 6 foot range is probably average. Now, if you're not 5'10", doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You can make up for a lack of height with speed, route running, catching, and those intangibles that necessarily aren't genetic, right? So that's number one. Now, with the height thing, again, it doesn't mean that you can't play. At the end of the day, they're recruiting football players. They're not recruiting basketball players. We're not looking for a center. We're not looking for a 5. We're looking for a wide receiver. So if you check off all those other attributes, all those other boxes, it's going to make up for a lack of height. Now, tip number 3 to be able to play a Division 1 wide receiver at a Division 1 level school is going to be your weight. So, what is the average weight, right? Because everybody loves to ask that question as well. I get a ton of those questions on a weekly basis. Hey, coach, I'm a receiver. I'm 5'10". I'm 180 pounds or I'm 170 pounds, whatever the case may be. Do I weigh enough to play in college? How much do you think I should weigh? Now, at the end of the day, guys, weight is something you can control. It's not like your height. I think everybody watching this video could gain a little bit more weight, unless you're on the heavier side of things, obviously. But I think if you're on the lighter side of things, you definitely could gain weight. I think it's something that you could control. How can you do that, and what's a range that you should shoot for? Most important thing is that you don't want to lose speed while you are gaining weight. So if you're like, let's say, for example, let's say you're 5'10", 185 pounds, right? That's decent size. That's pretty good size for 5'10". But you want to try to get to 200, right? So you dirty bulk, you gain 15 pounds, 20 pounds, get a little bit heavy, get your body fat percentage starts to increase a little bit. The lean muscle mass that you have maybe starts to decrease, but you gain weight. But let's say you get on the field and you're slow. That's a problem, guys. Speed, agility, quickness, route running, hands, all that stuff is more important than how much you weigh. Look at a guy like Travis Hunter, Devonta Smith. When they got to college, they were thin, man. They were so freaking light. And you know what they do when you get to college? They put weight on you. I'll give you a little insight on my story. When I got to college, guess what they did? I needed to gain weight. I was maybe like about 5'9.5", maybe depends on who's asking. I would maybe say like 5'10". But anyways, I was probably like 165 pounds. But what they did to gain weight with me was, instead of eating, because like all the meals were paid for because it was a scholarship, right? What they did was, is instead of having like one serving of like eggs, toast, and banana for breakfast, let's say, I would get 2 servings. So let's say I'd have 3 eggs, I'd have 6 eggs. Instead of 2 pieces of toast, I'd have 4. So they would double everything. It was hell. It was not fun. But the reason why they were doing that is because I needed to consume more calories, right? It's all about calories in and calories out when it comes to gaining weight. If you're in a calorie surplus, which means consuming more than you burn, you're going to be in a situation to gain weight. And that was a situation for me. I was not consuming enough calories in contrast to what I was burning, especially as a receiver, especially constantly running, constantly moving around. So you have to make sure, one, that you're in a calorie surplus if you need to gain weight. Number 2, I recommend trying to consume 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's like desired. So if you're 160, you're trying to get to 170, consume 170 grams of protein a day. I know that seems like a lot, but if you guys want a good protein powder that I could recommend, feel free, post that in the comments below, and I'll respond to you guys with one that I highly, highly recommend. But like, those 2 things right there is what they had me do when I got to college. The reason why I bring that up is because when you get to college, if you need to put on weight, they're going to put weight on you. Trust me. Anybody that's ever played college knows that. So guys, don't be worried so much about the exact number. You want to try to be as heavy as possible, but maintain your athleticism as much as possible. So how you can maintain your athleticism while gaining weight: don't neglect explosive movements in the gym, Olympic lifts, plyometrics, anything explosive. Number 2, make sure that you try to stay at a low body fat percentage. Do not dirty bulk. Make sure the calories that you're putting into your body are healthy calories, and it's a healthy, clean bulk. Now, tip number 4 to be able to play college receiver at a Division 1 level is going to be your speed. So you heard me mention this a couple times. If you guys lack height, if maybe you guys lack size, you don't pass the eye test, whatever the case may be, you got to be fast, right? Guys, as a receiver, you see it every year at the NFL Combine. Who's usually the fastest people running the 40-yard dash? It's DBs, right? DBs are some of the fastest players on the field, and that is who we are matched up against. So if we don't have that separation speed, it's going to be very, very tough for me to be able to play receiver at the next level. So speed is something that you can work on. How can you work on your speed? Number 1, highly recommend either running track or investing in a speed coach to help with your running form. If your track program at your school is not very good, I recommend a speed coach. Sometimes a track program at a school can be a waste of time. It's maybe not the most funded thing. A lot of the people there are volunteers, so they don't necessarily have the knowledge to help your running form improve. You get more benefit out of 1 to 2 sessions a week with a speed coach than wasting your time at track if it's a bad program. If it's a good program, track's one of the best things you could do. Second thing, explosive movements in the gym, like we mentioned, Olympic lifts, anything that activates your fast twitch muscle fibers, which are movements that exert all-out effort, like box jumps, like power cleans. Those are all-out effort movements where you're trying to move weight quickly and as explosively as possible. And then last but not least, training with resistance, running with a sled, running up hills, parachute, whatever the case may be. Those 3 things can absolutely help you get faster in the offseason. Now, what we also offer is we offer a 4-week-long gym speed workout plan. So it's 4 weeks of daily exercises with the exact sets and reps you need to be doing. We give you examples of each exercise and drill, and we put it into a schedule. Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, for 4 whole weeks. And you, of course, can repeat that over and over again until the season rolls around. So guys, check out that second link in the description below if you're interested in that 4-week plan and you ultimately want to improve your speed. Now, the fifth tip to be able to play wide receiver at a Division I level has a lot to do with the amount of film that you are ultimately getting. So we get asked a million questions like, hey, coach, I'm in this situation. Should I transfer schools? Should I go to this school? I'm going to get more play time, or should I stay at the bigger school? I'm only going to play 1 year. If you guys want to play at the Division I level, you need at least 2 years of varsity tape, right? So obviously 3, 4 years is great. You need at least 2 years. Now, why is that? So think about how competitive it is right now to be able to play college football. You got the transfer portal, you have JUCO athletes. So the transfer portal allows coaches to recruit from D1, D1 FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, and then you also have JUCO, and then there's high school, right? Now, if I'm a college coach, and you've heard coaches like Deion Sanders say this before, like, I like recruiting people out of the transfer portal because they're already college football players. They know how it goes. They know that they have to go to study hall. They know that they have to be committed, right? So it's tough as a high school player because you don't have that credibility yet, right? So it's tough to get recruited. So if you only have 1 year of film, these guys have already been recruiting athletes from the time that they've been sophomores, juniors, and they already usually have their recruiting class done by the time your senior year ends, right? Signing day is very, very close to the end of your senior season, right? So like, let's say you have no varsity film and you're going into your senior year and this is your first year starting on varsity, you want to play D1, it's unlikely to play it the first year right out of high school. Now, again, like I said, it's all about the amount of film that you get. So let's say, for example, so you're a sophomore, you start on varsity as a junior, totally fine. You need 2 years of film. 2 years of film is the key. So if you're in a situation where maybe you're thinking about transferring schools because it doesn't look like you're going to play till you're a senior, I might recommend that. But the school that you go to, you must play. Now, if you're worried about, oh, if I transfer to a smaller school, smaller division school, will I get less looks? You probably will. But at the end of the day, you need film. And if you don't have film, you have nothing to show for your high school career, even if you're at a big school. The only exceptions to this rule are the huge schools like the St. John Bosco's, the Mater Days, like the IMGs, where if you play a year and you start there, you're pretty much a D1 caliber athlete. So now, with that being said, let's say maybe transferring isn't in the cards for you. Let's say you only have 1 year of film. That does not mean that it's over for you and you can't play Division I level ball. If you play only 1 year, take a lower division offer. It's so possible to get a D2, D3, NAIA offer, or even go JUCO, go 1 year there, 2 years there, and then transfer. Especially the way the transfer portal is now, especially the way colleges recruit out of the transfer portal now. So it's not over for you. It just might be a different journey, but you need at least 2 years of film to be able to impress a college coach at the Division I level.